my standard day starts 7 o'clock, waking up, getting the coffee pot going. You know, the wife makes sure coffee's ready when she gets up. It's 8 o'clock, it's down to work, out the door, pull the boots on, and down the hill I walk. I've got an amazing 200-yard commute down to work. A lot of times it's walking through snow down to the office, or walking through a nice chilly morning like this morning where it was frost on the ground, and just beautiful. That 3 minutes that it takes to walk to work gives you a good start to the day. Just kind of clear your mind and enjoy where you live and what you get to do. This hatchery building is our most recently built building. It brought us from being a rearing station to a fish hatchery. All the fish that we raise here at Speas come to us as eyed eggs, and those come to us from all over the state of Wyoming, from all of our other hatcheries. We are just one of 10 different hatcheries in the state, and we are what's known as a production hatchery, meaning that we do not have a brood stock at this facility. This is our hatchery building. In this building we have 28 fiberglass troughs. Each one of these troughs has the ability to raise about 30,000 fish to right about 2 inches in length. Total in the building, we can rear about 840,000 fish. As you can see, each one of our tanks has a broom, a brush, a different net, and that is basically part of our biosecurity program here at Speas. It allows us to keep us from spreading disease from one tank to another. You'll also notice that we have individual clipboards. That's how we track our mortality to every tank. If you look at the head end, you can kind of see 2 pipes. That is our water coming in. We have 2 water sources here at Speas. One is our spring water, another one is our well water. So we have both water sources in each one of the tanks. If you look over here, you can see this pipe right here. This is how we collect water for reuse. All of our water on the facility is used 4 different times. The water in this particular tank is going into reuse right now, so all the water flowing through this pipe is heading over to a rotating drum filter that removes all of the suspended solids out of the water, as well as treats it with ultraviolet light to kill any bacteria or parasites that might be in the water. Our facility and lots of other facilities around the state have these isolation units. Basically, it's where different groups of eggs or fish will be brought into. That way they can live in there in a good environment until we can get them tested for virus or other diseases to make sure nothing else is getting put out into Wyoming. All of the water in here goes to straight to our offline settling pond. We do a wide variety of numbers for each different species. You know, that in 2017 we did over 400,000 kokanee. We'll do just over 800,000 rainbows, and so we've got quite a bit going on here most of the time. So welcome to building number 1. This is my favorite building on the place. Basically because it's as big as it is. Pretty impressive building when everything's all set up and squared away. You can see that in this building we have 12-foot, 16-foot, and 20-foot circulars. These fish that we're feeding here are Eagle Lake rainbow trout. Probably some of the most aggressive feeding fish that we have here at Speas. We raise right around 250 to 300,000 pounds of fish every year, and to raise that many fish, we feed about 250 to 300,000 pounds of fish food each year. You know, it's one thing that gets overlooked is every pound of food gets poured into a bucket, gets lifted off of a pallet. Every pound of fish gets lifted out of a tank or seined in a tank and put onto a truck, and then those fish are stocked out, and then you get into the biologists going out and evaluating fisheries and that kind of thing. So we all work together to create the best thing possible, and there's a lot of hard work and planning, and that really comes together. Another real enjoyable thing is meeting your production plans and meeting your requests and doing so and creating a very, very strong product for the state of Wyoming and quality fish for the anglers to catch. One unique thing about this building is that we actually have, and actually all of our buildings, we have the ability to supplement oxygen to each individual tank across the facility. You can see some of our tanks have these little green hoses flowing down into them and little bubbles coming up. That is us operating our oxygen supplementation. It basically allows us to go ahead and curtail the oxygen in each tank based on the demand from the fish. We have fish leave the facility as small as 3 inches and then as large as 10 inches. The tanks that we're utilizing in this building are called dual drain circulars. They're the most efficient rearing vessel available for fish that is currently on the market. You can see that we have what we call a spray bar. This is where all of our water comes into all of our particular tanks. You can see that it's got horizontal and vertical flow. Basically, the water comes in, flows around the tank in a nice smooth circle. We have 2 drains on the tanks. One of them is our side box drain and one is our center floor drain. The center floor drain is constantly pulling 15% of the water in the tank. The side box pulls 85% of the water in the tank. At both places, we're collecting water for reuse in the buildings down below. All of the water that is going down through the center drain is being brought over here to what we call a radial separator. These radial separators have all of the water from the center drain coming down into this cylinder. Because it's a cylinder, the water can't escape. The water is driven down inside the cone, and then it comes up the edge of the walls and then comes over the teeth. The teeth are the last line of a barrier for solids to settle out inside that. So as this tank is continuously cleaning all day long, more and more solids are being brought into this radial separator. Every day we come through, we clean every single tank, we remove all the mortality from every single tank, and in doing so, the first thing that we'll do is we'll come in here and we'll go ahead and lift our standpipe and clean our radial separator. People always ask, you know, hey, how do you get fish from building to building? Well, we have small trucks and trucks of all different sizes to go ahead and help move our fish, not only from building to building, but also that's the same trucks that we use to stock fish out of the facility. And this is an example of one of our feed stations. If you come over here, you can kind of see how we kind of have everything set up. You can see that we have each individual tank is getting a certain amount of feed. So basically, we grow fish to be stocked out of the facility at a certain size and at a certain time. That's all based on requests by our regional fish managers. And so when we get our schedule put together, we have to figure out when we receive eggs and how fast those fish can grow to meet those requests. So a fish that is going to be here all the way through next spring is going to be put on a certain growth regime, or the amount of growth that they need to grow at every single day will be calculated, and then feed will be adjusted based on how they're doing on that projection. Here at Speas, we have oxygen generators, water pumps, a lot of different specialized equipment that help us be as efficient as possible. Our oxygen generators produce the oxygen that we need to re-oxygenate the water after it's gone through our water treatment facility. We have what you call low head oxygenators that we'll see down in this building up close, and that'll allow us to re-oxygenate the water between each use. That way the fish have the amount of oxygen they need to grow effectively and survive. This is our feed room. This is where all of the feed for the facility is stored. We also have some specialized equipment in here that we store, but we receive feed to the facility every 2 months. And so we'll go ahead and order food, and the amount of each size of food that we order is based on the amount of fish that we have on station, where they're at in their growth regime, and then we just go ahead and place the order and it gets shipped to us. We basically stock all over the state. What we stock and what we raise each year is based on the fisheries manager's requests. Each region has a fisheries management crew, and those crews go out and evaluate all the different fisheries within their regions. And then after that, they all put together requests to manage to manage all of those fisheries, and then those requests get sent out to all of the hatcheries, and we all basically build and use those requests to fill our stations and raise as many fish as possible to meet all of those different requests throughout the state. This is one of our large production buildings, and this is where we have our 36-foot rearing tanks. Now these tanks are the same design as building number 1. They're still dual drain circulars. These are just 36 feet across and 10 feet deep. And each one of these has the ability of rearing right around 50,000 fish up to 9 inches. So in this building and building number 3, we can raise right around 400 to 450,000 fish through all of the tanks twice a year. We basically get our hands-on approach to trying to create moments for all types of different people. Whether it be a granddad taking their granddaughter out for her first fish, or providing handicap accessible fishing, or taking a backpacking trip with your family to go fish a high mountain lake. A lot of those options wouldn't exist without hatchery fish, and that's what I take the most pride in, is creating a good quality product for the state of Wyoming and for the residents of Wyoming. Speas Fish Hatchery is open from 8 to 5, 365 days a year. And as you come into the facility, if you just follow the visitor parking signs as well as arrows on the asphalt as you come in, it'll direct you down here to our visitor information kiosk, where we have self-guided tour pamphlets available. And you can see the parking barricades is a great place to park and start your tour. Come out, see us, and enjoy your time here at Speas.